In these days of increased aviation security, it is unusual for one plane to be hijacked. But then, how did the terrorists manage to hijack four? As Dateline's Lee Thompson tells us tonight, tragically, it may have been much easier than anyone could have anticipated.
Airport X-ray machines, metal detectors, and security screeners are the final line of defense in the war against anti-terrorism. So how is it that all of them failed us so completely yesterday?
It was very crude. It was very effective, but very crude.
Aviation consultant Mike Boyd says this attack was so effective because our vulnerabilities were so obvious.
We have a situation where some terrorists were able to get on the field, into the cockpit of an airplane, and crash it into a building. That's fundamental security, not extraordinary security.
While the FAA was focused on developing sophisticated explosive detection equipment to prevent a bomb from getting onto a plane, critics charge they failed to protect flyers against a low-tech Trojan horse-style assault. Though it's not entirely clear how all the hijackers breached security, it's likely some of them simply walked through security checkpoints with their weapons concealed by little more than a nod and a smile.
Thank you very much.
Small knives or cutting tools like these are often overlooked or have been permitted to be carried aboard aircraft. Shaving items like these razor blades seem innocent enough, but could easily be used with deadly intent. While law enforcement continues to investigate the hijackings, calls from passengers aboard the doomed jet suggest it was handmade weapons or something similar to these that were used to commandeer the planes and threaten or kill the crew. How could terrorists get past the multitude of electronic scanning devices? For one thing, these checkpoints are manned by people who aren't well trained.
Almost anyone can get a job as a security screener at American airports today because these are low-wage, low-satisfaction jobs with people that are very low-skilled, and there's very high turnover, so they're always looking for new people.
Investigators are also speculating that the terrorists may have been able to infiltrate airport staff, such as catering or baggage handlers, gaining access to secure areas of the airport.
One of the most difficult things in the world to protect against in any security system is an insider.
Billy Vincent is a former head of security for the Federal Aviation Administration.
When they bring those catering supplies on board, you have to remember that that individual, like anyone else coming in the security area, is not screened. They could have carried whatever they wanted with them.
Government reports have warned for years that background checks for airport personnel are inadequate. In fact, in 1996, Dateline producers working undercover had no trouble being hired at Newark and Atlanta Hartsfield airports. At Newark Airport in New Jersey, where one of the hijacked planes departed yesterday, our Dateline producer was hired on the spot. No references checked. Within 2 days, he was screening bags at a security checkpoint with no training. He was able to gain access to planes, cockpits, and other secure areas. While changes were made after our report, problems persist. Dateline has reviewed FAA records of all violations against airlines, airports, and individuals over the past 2 years. The number of security violations are almost double the number of all other kinds of violations combined. Today, the FAA issued new orders for airport security. From now on, you'll no longer be allowed to check your bags at curbside. You won't be able to access boarding areas without a ticket. And according to Vincent, you won't be able to bring pocket knives, cutting tools, or even scissors aboard planes. But experts warn even those procedures don't go far enough.
Even more interesting is they did not prohibit the passenger from carrying all of these carry-on items that they're inclined to do on board an airplane. I find that amazing.
Instead, Vincent and others point to more extensive measures many foreign countries have had in place for years. For instance, the international airport in Zurich, Switzerland. Heavily armed soldiers patrol the terminal, armored vehicles on tarmacs, and highly trained government employees operate scanning equipment, scrutinizing passengers and carry-on bags. International airlines like Israel's national airline, El Al, are legendary for their rigorous security.
The security is amazing. They go through every bag.
Terry Tripler is a travel consultant.
They physically search every person. You do not know exactly when you're going to leave, or you will sit on the ramp somewhere, and then at a moment's notice, you take off.
But that's not likely to happen here. Tripler warns, however, that whatever we do will impact air travel as we know it.
I think the security during the Gulf War was a Sunday school picnic compared to what we're going to see when it comes online. I think we're going to be telling people, rightfully so, to get out to the airport 2 and 3 hours prior to their flight.
Are we, the American public, partially to blame here because we have insisted, indeed demanded, that we go to the airport and just get on that plane?
We want everything fast. You know, we're in a fast food world. We want to get out to the airport, get on the plane, and get where we're going. And we want a $198 fare on top of it. We're going to have more security, longer check-in lines, and we're going to have to pay more money.
Something that after yesterday, most Americans are probably willing to pay.
How much would you pay to know that you were not going to be on one of those flights yesterday? How much is it worth to you? $10, $25 a ticket? The American people, the American traveling public, we have to answer that.
That's Dateline's Edie Magnus telling us about the new world that we'll all be occupying as soon as commercial air traffic is resuming.